Okay, ich muss es wohl tun. Ich muss jetzt bereit sein. Let's go. Die letzte Verhandlung, wahrscheinlich. 4th November, 9:30 a.m. Zio Bailey Courtroom. Before we begin today, I have a brief announcement. Okay, wir sind gar nicht mehr in der Lobby, in dem Antechamber, sondern wir sind gleich im Gericht. Und er hat eine kurze Ankündigung. As with a closed trial 10 years ago, some astonishing facts have come to light in these proceedings. The revelation that the well-known Reaper is actually an organization illegally executing its own brand of justice, and the discovery that a respected yard inspector was at its heart until he himself perished in an assassination plot. Well, I say to all members of the judiciary here present on this occasion, that we will stop at nothing to uncover the whole truth behind these disturbing findings. Counsels, you will undertake this trial with a resolve to pursue the truth to the bitter end. Resolve, yes, that's my intention. Entschlossenheit. My lord, if I may inquire, the defendant may speak. On what grounds is Kazuma Asogi permitted to continue in his role as prosecutor? True, he has admitted to colluding with the victim in a plot to assassinate an innocent man. He shouldn't be enjoying the privilege of freedom, let alone be leading the prosecution. I submitted a written petition to Lord Strongheart, requesting that judgment of my transgression be delayed by 1 day. You did what? In today's proceedings, I intend to expose everything. My whole life for the last 10 years has all been leading up to this one day. Kazuma. Whatever the outcome of this trial, I give my word that I will accept whatever punishment is deemed appropriate, however severe. And I suggest you prepare yourself for the same, Reaper. Kazuma is bristling with hostility today. I get the distinct impression we are heading into very dangerous territory. Is that really even Kazuma-sama standing before us? As an extreme exception to normal practices, I have granted this prosecutor's request. The defense finds this acceptable, I presume? Yes, my lord. In that case, in the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session again. We resume the closed hearing of Baroque van Zieks. The defense is ready, my lord. The prosecution is more than ready. Very well then, this preamble has taken long enough. Prosecutor Asogi, begin. Nice Musik auch wieder. As you wish, my lord. The prosecution calls the first witness to the stand. Brings Seishiro Jigoku into the courtroom. At last then, we've reached the final battle. He's putting literally everything on the line now in order to get to the truth. Come on, Ryonosuke, it's time for that speedy resolve, because this is going to test it to the limit. Genau, Ryonosuke, es ist Zeit für die Entschlossenheit. Witness, state your name and occupation for the court. Huh. So it was you who issued this, was it? Your subpoena. I did what was necessary. Ha 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 ha. Well, look what the young man has become. I didn't think I'd see the day when you take the tone with me, I must say. The witness will ensure his responses are pertinent to the questions asked. My name is Seishiro Jigoku, a Supreme Court judge from the Empire of Japan. 16 years ago, this man came to London as a visiting student. 6 years later, he returned to Japan. As well as presiding over the Supreme Court, he is also currently Japan's Minister of Foreign Affairs. I am of course fully aware of Mr. Jigoku and his preeminent roles. I invited him personally to the International Forensic Science Symposium as a representative of his country. I hear he also played a key role in the conclusion of the Anglo-Japanese Treaty of Friendship and Navigation. Aha, it was a great honor to be involved in the negotiations. I put my all into that treaty. Judge Jigoku, I must ask. Well, I never. Fancy the young murdering student turning up here, of all places. You acquitted me yourself. And now, I'm a practicing defense lawyer. Yes, and full of self-importance like your friend across the courtroom, I see. You came here to London by invitation to the International Forensic Science Symposium. But then, without informing anyone of your plans, you took flight to France. Took flight? I'd have to object to that turn of phrase. Then explain yourself. What exactly were the circumstances? Well, I was somewhat expecting this. And I'm sorry to say, I declined to comment. What? Leaving the country prematurely when I was an invited guest may be questionable etiquette. But my decision is unrelated to this case. I can't be bound to testify. Unrelated, you say? I appreciate that a respected police inspector has been killed, for which I offer my condolences. However, being an alien, I'd obviously never met the man, nor do I know the first thing about him. As such, I'm in no position to testify. It's as simple as that. So you would run from all this? I beg your pardon? This case is more far-reaching than the murder of Inspector Gregson. It has ties to another murder, a case that was tried in Japan almost a year ago now. A year ago in Japan. The murder of Dr. Jen H. Wilson, you mean? That's right, and you, Judge Jigoku, are at the heart of both cases. The defense has evidence to prove it. Die Liste, die erhalten hat. Well, Ryunosuke, I see from the look in your eyes that you're resolved to carry this through the very end, too. Let's see your evidence then. What proof do you have that Sashiro Jigoku was involved in this case? Just here. This is a telegram detailing a communication sent between Britain and Japan approximately 1 year ago. The communication contained 4 names: Kei Azogi, A. Shin, T. Gregson, and J. Wilson. You little... Where did you get that? In Tokyo. From your office, Judge Jigoku. What? How on earth did you... What's this all about? Why is my name on that list? This list of 4 names follows a certain pattern. T. Gregson and J. Wilson are the names of victims. Kei Azogi and A. Shin are the names of assassins. No! A year ago in Tokyo, Dr. John H. Wilson's life was taken in a Western-style restaurant in the capital. The culprit was found to be a visiting student who went by the name of Giselle Brett, but her real name was Asa Shin, a professional killer sent on a mission to kill from Great Britain. A. Shin and her victim J. Wilson. And the murder that took just place here in London was a counterpart to that crime. An assassin sent from Japan, also a visiting student, Kazuma Azogi, whose victim was a British police inspector, Tobias Gregson. Kei Azogi and T. Gregson. One assassin from each country to kill a target residing in the other. What exactly is the defense suggesting? These 2 cases of murder, one that took place in Britain and one in Japan, were masterminded by a pair of individuals from each country as a form of assassin exchange. and the telegram the defense has acquired is proof of this international contract to kill. Ich glaube nicht, dass Lord Strongheart nichts davon weiß, um ehrlich zu sein. Ich glaube, der steckt da auch mit hinter. What? The telegram was found in your office, Judge Jigoku. In other words, the mastermind in Japan was you. Judge Jigoku, what's this all about? And you, Kazuma, you lied. During yesterday's proceedings, you acknowledged that you accepted the assassination mission, but the mark wasn't Judge Jigoku at all. It was T. Gregson, Detective Inspector of Scotland Yard, as shown by the name on the killing contract. Very impressive, Ryonosuke. But actually, I didn't lie. The name of the target I was ordered to kill never passed my lips yesterday. The idea that Seshiro Jigoku was the mark came entirely from you. Aha! You deliberately avoided saying a name. The defense claims these 4 names indicate some sort of international assassin exchange. I'm sure I speak for all present when I say that the very idea seems utterly absurd. Well, Mr. Jigoku, what do you have to say for yourself? His silence only goes to prove his guilt. There's another very important point that this new development brings to light. There's now a distinct possibility that the scene of Inspector Gregson's actual murder was in the witness cabin aboard his SS Grouse. Judge Jigoku, you have to testify now. To refuse would put you in contempt of court. There's no need for quite such a vicious stare, young man. Very well then. As a parting gift to you all, I tell you everything I know. It seems this Japanese gentleman has information that the court must hear about the alleged assassin exchange and the events of the night of the 31st October. Present your formal testimony now. As you wish, my lord. The assassin exchange. It's true that Azogi was assigned the assassination mission 1 year ago. The target was Inspector T. Gregson. That was a condition of the British study tour. However, in the end something happened that meant the young man was unable to carry out his mission. On the evening in question, a member of the crew was on duty outside my cabin at all times. If there had been a shot fired, the crewman would have heard it. So clearly I can't be involved. Das ist eine Lüge, oder nicht? Weil er hatte ja die... Naja, man kann es autoritüren, aber er hatte ja das eine Sprechrohr mit irgendwas verstopft. So you admit it then, as this communication suggests. There really was an assassin exchange arrangement between Britain and Japan. A political endeavor at the highest levels, not something I can discuss here. To use such a worthy practice as foreign study to curse somebody to commit murder. It's the most appalling thing I've ever heard. Appalling? Well, it's easy to judge. Pardon? Azogi had a reason for taking a sword to that British inspector, you know? What? Which is why he accepted the mission in the first place. Isn't that right, Counsel? Weil den entscheidenden Beweis gebracht hat, dass es der Professor war, oder nicht? Das hat doch Gregson gemacht. Kazuma-sama. Judge Jigoku, if you are the mastermind behind this operation in Japan, then tell the court the identity of your counterpart in Britain. I'm not obliged to divulge that information. As I said yesterday, I've killed nobody. I freely admit that I accepted the mission, but on the night the plan was to be executed, I backed out. In short, this assassin exchange the defense has identified is unrelated to the events of this case. The crucial point is this. Your police inspector can't have perished aboard that steamship in Dunkirk. But the plan was to be executed, backed out. Okay. Police inspector can't have perished aboard that steamship in Dunkirk because if he'd been shot in the cabin. It's inconceivable that a member of the crew wouldn't have heard it. That's right. Gregson was killed after returning to London, in the room on Fresno Street. And the perpetrator of the crime was the Reaper, Baroque van Zieks. The prosecution's accusation remains unchanged. To think that the seemingly innocent foreign exchange program was a facade for such Machiavellian dealings. Was heißt das? Machiavellian? Was ist das für ein Wort? Machiavellian. Skrupellos? Und wie wird es ausgesprochen?
Machiavellian.
Machiavellian. Okay. Machiavellian dealings. Clearly it's a plot only a government minister and high-ranking judge such as the witness could hope to execute. Well, I seem to recall that it was someone on the British side who controlled everything. Be that as it may, it is not the place of this court to pursue this villainous assassin exchange plot. We are concerned only with the tangible events pertaining to the murder of Inspector Gregson. Is the defense clear on that point, counsel? Yes, my lord. I'll keep that in mind as I cross-examine the witness. Okay. Also nur was relevant zu Dr. Gregson, Professor Gregson. Inspector Gregson ist, oh mein Gott, the assassin exchange. It's true that Kazuma Azobi was assigned the assassination mission 1 year ago. Hold it! A year ago, when Kazuma was still in Japan then. Correct. It was at the examination center for applicants for the study tour that I approached them. I'll never forget it. I remember exactly what you said. You just came out and asked me forthright if I considered traveling to Britain on an assassination mission. Surely not. I thought it was a joke at first, of course, but then it was made clear to me that if I didn't accept, I wouldn't be considered for the study tour. So you agreed to it? Just for that? I mean, I know how much you wanted to study in England, but assassination? Tja, Kazuma war halt so resolved, so entschlossen, nach England zu kommen. The Empire of Japan had accepted a proposal from the British Empire at the time. An agreement to send a student from each country to the others to deepen cultural understanding and friendship. But behind the scenes, the chosen students were to be given assassination missions. I had no choice but to accept the proposal that originated from my British counterpart. Why didn't you expose the plot there and then? The agreement to send students out deep cultural understanding and friendship, but behind the scenes, the chosen students were to be given assassination missions. Okay. Britain acknowledges no part in these alleged misbegotten dealings. I advise you not to make spurious allegations, Foreign Minister Jigoku. As a witness, I am bound to tell the truth, my lord. Anyway, I picked Azogi and explained the details of the plan to her. The target was Inspector T. Gregson. That was a condition of the British study tour. Hold it! Why Kazuma? Why did you pick him as the assassin? He was the most capable of all the applicants, and in addition, I knew his desire to travel to Britain was very strong. In fact, it was almost more than a desire, it was his whole purpose in life. Yes, as his best friend, I can certainly attest to that. The way he threw himself into his studies, the way he pursued becoming qualified as a lawyer. It was all ultimately for that one single goal of being accepted on a study tour to Britain. And of course, we know the reason behind that. He was determined to find out for himself the truth about his father, Genshin Azogi. There's nothing I wouldn't have done to get here. Be that agreeing to assume the role of an assassin, or betraying people's trust. Well, you certainly did a fine job of betraying mine, Azogi. But why was Inspector Gregson the target? I have no idea. Those were the orders from Britain. I was in no position to question them. You have no idea? Really? I find that hard to believe. Oh, do you? Judge Shikoku was once a visiting student here in Britain, himself of course. Perhaps he has some connection with Inspector Gregson from that time. The defense really ought to catch up. With what? With the fact that the assassination exchange has absolutely nothing to do with the case under scrutiny here. Yes, I've already admitted to recruiting Azogi. However, in the end something happened that meant the young man was unable to carry out his mission.
Hold it!
I presume you're referring to the incident that occurred during Kazuma's passage to Britain in January. The awful tragedy that took place in the steamship. Word arrived at the ministry some 2 weeks after the ship's departure from our shores. The visiting student had been killed, but his body had somehow gone missing in Hong Kong. The news was wired to me from a detective I placed on the ship to accompany the assassin. Obviously, Kazuma didn't actually die at all. Das erklärt das auch, warum Hosonaga sein Bodyguard war. Ah, okay, das macht viel mehr Sinn, als wie sie es uns damals verkauft haben. Das macht viel mehr Sinn. Didn't actually die at all. But he did lose his memory, including all details about his special mission. Did you not consider dispatching another assassin at that point? That wasn't possible, simply because that black-clad young student over there had already put himself forward as Azogi's replacement. And there was no way to stop him from reaching Britain. Und Strongheart muss was davon wissen. Strongheart muss was davon wissen, weil er zu Ionosuke gesagt hat, du bist wirklich sicher, dass du Kazumas Mission hier machen willst, dass du Kazumas vollständige Mission machen willst. Und Strongheart musste das wissen. Wir wussten das damals nicht, was Kazumas Mission ist, aber jetzt wissen wir das. Und ich glaube deswegen Strongheart weiß das auch. To stop him reaching Britain. Ah! My hands were completely tied. So Mr. Shone's strategy worked perfectly. He predicted everything that would happen. Months later, my memory returned, but I never intended to go through with the assassination mission anyway. So you are playing me right from the outset, were you? Is that it? I'd sooner be guilty of that crime than of taking someone else's life. Okay. I was prepared to do whatever I had to in order to get myself here to Britain. This line of questioning has gone on long enough. All the court should be concerned about is, in the testimony given by this witness, are details relating to his relationship with Inspector Gregson and the victim's murder. In that case, as I've already made perfectly clear, I had no connection to the man or his death. And you have some means of substantiating this plea. On the evening in question, a member of the crew was on duty outside my cabin at all times.
Hold it!
Outside your cabin in the first class area of the SS Grouse, you mean? Yes, that's right. Not least because there was a murder of a student passenger earlier in the year, I imagine. The liner operators have taken to posting a crewman outside every first class cabin door. I can confirm the presence of the crewman guard myself. What do you mean? Because I accompanied Inspector Gregson to Dunkirk that night, I witnessed it with my own eyes. There was a well-built crewman standing guard directly in front of the door to the witness cabin. Stroganoff. At that particular time, of course, I'd gone to the ship's dining room for dinner. The inspector and I asked the crewman to allow us into the cabin while we waited for Judge Jigoku's return. I suppose Inspector Gregson was there in his capacity as a Reaper. He was intending to take the witness life. Exactly. As I've said numerous times now, I had no intention of killing anyone. So the crew let 2 potential assassins into the cabin he was supposed to be guarding. The crewman was there as a Reaper. Okay. I come to the ship's dining room. Okay. Not the most convincing of sentries, really. In truth, those were my thoughts too. But anyway, I stayed to talk with Inspector Gregson for a short while, and then I left him there and made my way off the ship alone. Was the guard still at the door when you went? Yes, he glared at me as I walked past. You see? That proves it. If there had been a shot fired, the crewman would have heard it, so clearly I can't be involved. Hold it! The crewman who was standing directly outside your cabin door, you mean? That's right. A muscular man with a permanent grim expression on his face. He didn't want to move from the spot. To be honest, I thought he was a miserable fellow. But as it happens, he's a vital witness now. There's no doubt that Gregson was killed by a gunshot, and it's inconceivable that the crewman standing just outside the cabin door wouldn't have heard that. But wait, what about the ship's enormous steam engines? The noise of them could have drowned out the sound of the gun being fired. Sadly, young judicial assistant, that won't wash. Oh! You will recall that my cabin was in the first class area of the ship, which is also, of course, the quietest. Don't imagine for a moment that it's anything like steerage, where the judicial assistants go. I didn't mean... the bus? Ground... okay. True. I was in the first class, which is also of course the quietest. Okay. Deswegen hörte man die Dampfmaschinen nicht. But a hole like that made by a bullet was found in your cabin, Judge Jigoku. That's compelling evidence that a gun was fired in there. What's that? A bullet hole? Oh yes, you're talking about what the detective uncovered in the wall yesterday, I presume. There was obviously a rotten panel eaten out by woodworm. No doubt he didn't find an actual bullet. That's the hole in this argument. Talking about what the detective uncovered in the wall yesterday, I presume. So there was obviously a rotten panel eaten out by woodworm. Okay. Sadly, I was unable to arrange for the crewman to be brought back to Britain with me. Aber warum würde das verdecken, wenn das nur ein Holzstück ist, was von Holzwürmern gegessen worden ist? Das macht ja keinen Sinn. But obviously, if a gun had been fired in my cabin on the night in question, as the defense implies, I would have been arrested on the spot, and would never have made it to Britain in the first place. Very true, the witness' logic is sound. Since no gunshot was heard from the witness' cabin on the night in question, we must assume that the witness is telling the truth. Hehehe, I'm glad you've seen sense, my lord. I know Kazuma's already admitted to taking on this incredible assassination plot, but even so, hearing it confirmed by somebody else is still a real shock. It's unforgivable! Using Kazuma-sama's feelings to manipulate him into agreeing to such a despicable plan. But I think Kazuma manipulated Judge Jigoku too. He completely double-crossed him. Oh dear, it's hard not to see it as a stroke of brilliance on Kazuma-sama's part. One way or another though, Gregson ended up dead. I really think that the murder must have happened aboard that steamship. So you mean, Judge Goku must be lying? Ich habe eine Vermutung. I know I shouldn't let my emotions cloud my judgment. But you must destroy him, Mr. Naruto. Okay, ich habe eine Vermutung. Ich habe eine Vermutung. Nämlich hier. Und gab es hier nicht den Evacuation Drill? Also die Übung. Practice evacuation was carried out by the crew of the SS Grouse the night before the ship arrived. Was found in Judge Goku's cabin. Following departure from the port of Dunkirk, all crew members are required to assemble on the main deck at 10 PM in order to review evacuation procedures. The drill will take 20 minutes. Crew to resume duties as soon as the drill is over. Das könnte jetzt doch der Grund sein, warum die Banane krumm ist. Nein, warum niemand das gehört hat, oder? Oder? Wir probieren es einfach mal.